The sun peeked over the rolling hills of the Lazy Z Ranch, painting the green pastures in shades of gold. It was springtime, a time of new beginnings, and excitement buzzed in the air. Especially for Bess, a gentle-eyed Hereford cow with a coat the color of rich cream dotted with reddish-brown patches. Bess was expecting. She lumbered slowly through the field, her large belly swaying with each step. She grazed on the sweet spring grass, her tail swishing lazily to keep the flies away. Bess loved the Lazy Z Ranch. It was her home. Mr. Johnson, the rancher, was kind and always made sure she had fresh water and plenty to eat. He even scratched her behind the ears, which she loved. Bess was more than just a cow to Mr. Johnson, she was part of the family. He had raised her since she was a calf, and he knew her gentle nature. He knew she was a good mother, having already raised 2 healthy calves. This time felt different, though. Bess seemed quieter, more thoughtful. She often stood by the fence, gazing out at the distant mountains, as if searching for something. The other cows on the ranch, Daisy and Buttercup, would move softly to her, trying to cheer her up, but Bess just mooed back sadly. She knew her time was coming soon, and she couldn't wait to meet her new baby. She dreamed of nuzzling the little calf, teaching it how to find the best patches of grass, and protecting it from the hot summer sun. Little did Bess know, this birth would be unlike any other she had experienced before. It would bring both immense joy and unbearable sorrow, but it would also lead her down a path she never expected, a path filled with a different kind of love. A love that would heal her broken heart and fill a void she never knew existed. A love that would change her life forever, and the lives of those around her on the Lazy Z Ranch. The day arrived, warm and bright. Bess wandered off on her own, seeking a quiet corner of the pasture near a babbling brook shaded by an old oak tree. She knew it was time. She began to push, her muscles straining. It was harder than she remembered. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher in the sky, beating down on the pasture. Bess continued to struggle. She mooed in distress, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Mr. Johnson, noticing Bess's absence and hearing her cries, hurried to the pasture. He saw immediately that something was wrong. He knelt beside Bess, his brow furrowed with concern. He could see the calf was stuck. Gently, he tried to help, his strong hands guiding and pulling. He worked tirelessly, his face etched with worry. He knew the longer it took, the more danger Bess and the calf were in. Finally, with a last mighty effort, the calf was born. It lay still, not breathing. Mr. Johnson quickly cleared the mucus from its nose and mouth, trying to revive it. He rubbed its small body, urging it to breathe. Bess watched anxiously, her eyes wide with hope and fear. But it was no use. The calf was gone. A wave of grief washed over Bess. She nuzzled the still body, her moans filled with sorrow. Mr. Johnson, his heart aching for Bess, placed a comforting hand on her back. He knew there was nothing he could say to ease her pain. He buried the tiny calf beneath the oak tree, marking the spot with a small stone. The pasture, once filled with the promise of new life, was now heavy with sadness. The bright sun seemed to dim, and even the brook seemed to whisper a mournful tune. Bess stood beside the grave, her head bowed low, her heart broken. The joy she had felt just days before had been replaced by a profound and devastating loss. For days, Bess wandered the pasture, her moans echoing through the hills. She searched for her baby, her nose to the ground, sniffing the air. She would stand by the oak tree where the calf was buried, her eyes filled with a deep, inconsolable sadness. She refused to eat, and her usually shiny coat became dull and matted. Mr. Johnson watched her, his own heart heavy. He tried to coax her to eat, offering her sweet hay and fresh grain, but she just turned away, her moans growing louder. He knew she was grieving, and he didn't know how to help her. He had seen animals grieve before, but Bessa's sorrow seemed to run deeper, more profound. The other cows tried to comfort her, nuzzling her gently and offering soft moos of sympathy, but Bess remained distant, lost in her own world of grief. She would often stand alone, staring blankly at the horizon, as if searching for something that was lost forever. Even the normally cheerful birds seemed to sing a sadder song, and the playful squirrels hid in their nests, sensing the heavy atmosphere of the ranch. The Lazy Z Ranch felt empty and silent, a stark contrast to the joyful anticipation that had filled it just days before. Mr. Johnson started to worry about Bess's health. He knew that if she didn't start eating soon, she would become weak and sick. He racked his brain, trying to think of something, anything, that could bring her some comfort and ease her pain. He knew that Bess needed something, or someone, to fill the emptiness in her heart, but what could that be? He felt helpless, watching her suffer. He wished he could take away her pain, but he knew that grief was a journey she had to take on her own. All he could do was offer her his love and support, and hope that one day, she would find a way to heal. Meanwhile, on the far side of the ranch, near the sheep pen, a different kind of sadness was unfolding. A small, white lamb named Lily huddled alone in the corner, shivering despite the warm sun. Lily's mother had been sick and, despite Mr. Johnson's best efforts, had passed away during the night. Lily was tiny, barely bigger than a fluffy white cloud. She bleated softly, a plaintive cry that went unanswered. She was too young to be without her mother. She didn't know how to find food, and she was scared of the other sheep, who were much bigger and stronger than her. She missed her mother's warm wool, the gentle nudge that guided her to the best milk, and the comforting sound of her bleating. Now, there was only emptiness and fear. She was alone, lost in a world that suddenly seemed very big and very scary. The other sheep grazed peacefully, seemingly oblivious to Lily's distress. They were used to the rhythms of the ranch, the cycle of life and death. But Lily was too young to understand. All she knew was that her mother was gone, and she was all alone. Mr. Johnson checked on Lily frequently, offering her milk from a bottle. She drank eagerly, but the milk couldn't replace the warmth and comfort of her mother's love. He knew that Lily needed more than just food. She needed a mother figure, someone to protect her and guide her. He watched Lily, his brow furrowed in thought. He knew he couldn't be a mother to her, but he couldn't bear to see her suffer. He had to find a way to help her, just as he had to find a way to help Bess. An idea began to form in his mind, a glimmer of hope in the midst of all the sadness. Could it work? He wasn't sure, but he knew he had to try. He had to find a way to bring these two lonely creatures together. Mr. Johnson spent the afternoon watching both Bess and Lily. He observed Bess's continued sadness, the way she still searched for her calf, the emptiness in her eyes. Then, he watched Lily, her tiny body trembling, her bleats filled with fear. He knew he had to do something. The idea that had been forming in his mind grew stronger. He knew it was a long shot, that it might not work, but he felt he had to try. He remembered reading about cows adopting orphaned calves, even from different species. Could Bess, grieving the loss of her own calf, possibly accept a lamb? He knew the risks. Bess could reject Lily, even hurt her. But he also knew that Bess had a gentle nature, a deep maternal instinct. And Lily desperately needed a mother. It was a gamble, but he felt it was a gamble worth taking. He consulted with his wife, Sarah. Sarah was a kind and compassionate woman who loved all the animals on the ranch. She listened carefully to Mr. Johnson's idea, her brow furrowed with concern. "It's a risk, John," she said. "Bess is still grieving. She might not be ready to accept another baby, especially not a lamb." "I know," Mr. Johnson replied. "But I can't just stand by and watch them both suffer. Lily needs a mother, and maybe, just maybe, Bess needs a baby to care for. It might help them both heal." Sarah looked at her husband, her eyes filled with love and understanding. She knew how much he cared for the animals, and she knew he wouldn't suggest this unless he truly believed it was the right thing to do. "Okay, John," she said. "Let's try it. But we have to be very careful. We'll introduce them slowly, and we'll watch them closely to make sure Bess doesn't hurt Lily." With Sarah's support, Mr. Johnson began to prepare for the introduction. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to give Bess and Lily a chance at a new beginning. A chance to find comfort and love in the midst of their sorrow. The next morning, Mr. Johnson carefully scooped up Lily in his arms. She was so small and light, like holding a bundle of cotton. He spoke to her softly, reassuring her as he carried her across the pasture towards Bess. Sarah followed close behind, her eyes fixed on Bess, ready to intervene if necessary. Bess stood near the fence, still looking sad and forlorn. She watched as Mr. Johnson approached, her head tilted in curiosity. She seemed confused, wondering why he was carrying something so small and white. As they got closer, Bess caught Lily's scent. She sniffed the air, her nostrils flaring. It was a scent she didn't recognize, but it triggered something deep inside her, a faint flicker of maternal instinct. Mr. Johnson stopped a few feet away from Bess. He gently placed Lily on the ground. Lily, scared and disoriented, bleated loudly and ran towards Mr. Johnson's legs, seeking protection. Mr. Johnson knelt down and gently nudged Lily towards Bess. "Go on, little one," he said softly. "She won't hurt you." Lily hesitated, then took a tentative step towards Bess. Bess stood still, watching her with wary eyes. Lily took another step, then another, until she was standing right in front of Bess. Bess lowered her head and sniffed Lily cautiously. Lily, still scared, bleated again and nuzzled against Bess's leg. Bess flinched at first, then stood still, allowing Lily to rub against her. Mr. Johnson and Sarah held their breath, watching anxiously. This was the moment of truth. Would Bess accept Lily, or would she reject her? The fate of two lonely creatures hung in the balance. The whole ranch seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The morning sun shone down on the unlikely pair, illuminating the hope that, against all odds, a new family might be born. A moment stretched into what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, Bess lowered her head further and began to lick Lily's back. It was a tentative lick, a gentle exploration. Lily shivered, but she didn't pull away. Bess continued to lick Lily, her tongue moving softly through the lamb's fluffy wool. With each lick, Bess seemed to relax a little more. The sadness in her eyes began to fade, replaced by a flicker of something else, something akin to tenderness. Lily, sensing Bess's change in demeanor, stopped trembling. She leaned into Bess's warmth, her small body seeking comfort. She bleated softly, no longer a cry of fear, but a gentle murmur of contentment. Mr. Johnson and Sarah exchanged a relieved glance. It seemed to be working. Bess was accepting Lily. As the sun climbed higher, Bess continued to groom Lily, her tongue moving with increasing confidence. Lily snuggled closer, burying her face in Bess's thick fur. It was as if they had known each other forever. After a while, Lily, tired from her ordeal, began to doze off, nestled against Bess's side. Bess stood patiently, her head lowered protectively over the sleeping lamb. Mr. Johnson and Sarah watched in amazement, their hearts filled with joy. They knew it was just the beginning, that there would be challenges ahead. But for now, they could celebrate the small miracle that had taken place on the Lazy Z Ranch. Two lonely creatures, both grieving the loss of their mothers, had found solace in each other's company. A cow and a lamb, an unlikely pair, had formed a bond that would heal their hearts and change their lives forever. The pasture, once filled with sorrow, now held a glimmer of hope, a testament to the power of love and compassion. Days turned into weeks, and Bess and Lily's bond grew stronger with each passing day. Bess became fiercely protective of Lily, always keeping a watchful eye on her, making sure she was safe and sound. If any of the other cows got too close, Bess would gently nudge them away, her moos warning them to keep their distance. Lily, in turn, became completely devoted to Bess. She followed Bess everywhere, her tiny hooves padding softly behind Bess's large ones. She would often nuzzle against Bess's udder, even though she couldn't get any milk. It was a gesture of affection, a way of showing Bess how much she loved her. Mr. Johnson and Sarah were amazed by the transformation in Bess. The sadness that had once clouded her eyes had disappeared, replaced by a gentle light of love and contentment. She started eating again, and her coat regained its shine. She was no longer the grieving cow, lost in her own world of sorrow. She was a mother again, filled with purpose and joy. Lily also thrived under Bess's care. She grew bigger and stronger, her wool becoming thicker and fluffier. She learned to graze alongside Bess, nibbling on the sweet spring grass. She was no longer the scared, lonely lamb, shivering in the corner of the sheep pen. She was a happy, playful lamb, loved and protected by her adoptive mother. The other animals on the ranch also seemed to sense the special bond between Bess and Lily. The cows would moo softly to them, and the sheep would bleat greetings as they passed by. Even the chickens seemed to cluck with approval. The Lazy Z Ranch felt like a family again, a place where everyone belonged. Mr. Johnson often said that Bess and Lily had saved each other. Bess had given Lily a mother, and Lily had given Bess a reason to live again. Their story was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love can bloom in the most unexpected places. A love that can heal broken hearts and bring hope to a world in need of kindness. As the seasons changed, so did Bess and Lily. Summer turned to fall, and the green pastures transformed into a sea of gold and red. Lily grew bigger, her fluffy wool coat keeping her warm as the days grew cooler. Bess remained her constant protector, her love unwavering. One afternoon, a storm rolled in, bringing with it strong winds and heavy rain. Lily, frightened by the thunder, ran to Bess for comfort. Bess stood tall, shielding Lily from the wind and rain with her large body. Lily snuggled close, burying her face in Bess's fur, feeling safe and secure. Mr. Johnson and Sarah watched from the porch, their hearts warmed by the sight. They knew that Bess and Lily's bond was something special, something that transcended species and circumstance. It was a bond of love, loyalty, and unwavering devotion. As winter approached, Mr. Johnson built a special shelter for Bess and Lily, a cozy barn where they could stay warm and dry during the cold winter months. Bess and Lily spent their days huddled together, sharing body heat and companionship. They were a family, bound together by love and loss. One evening, as Mr. Johnson was tucking them in for the night, he noticed something different about Bess. She seemed restless, pacing back and forth, her moos filled with a sense of urgency. He realized that Bess was going to have another calf. He knew it was going to be a difficult birth, given what had happened before. He worried about Bess, but he also knew that she was strong and resilient. And this time, she had Lily by her side. As Bess labored, Lily stayed close, nuzzling her and offering soft bleats of encouragement. It was as if she knew what Bess was going through, and she wanted to offer her support. Finally, after hours of struggle, a new calf was born. It was a healthy little bull calf, full of life and energy. Bess nuzzled her new baby, her eyes filled with joy. Lily watched from a distance, her tail wagging excitedly. She knew that Bess would always be her mother, but she was happy that Bess had another baby to love. The Lazy Z Ranch welcomed new life. From that day forward, the Lazy Z Ranch was a place of even greater love and compassion. Bess cared for both Lily and her new calf, treating them equally, showering them with affection. Lily, in turn, embraced her role as a big sister, playing with the calf and helping Bess keep him out of trouble. Mr. Johnson and Sarah were filled with gratitude. They had taken a chance, a leap of faith, and it had paid off in ways they could never have imagined. Bess and Lily had not only healed each other's hearts, but they had also brought a renewed sense of joy and purpose to the ranch. Bess, once consumed by grief, now radiated happiness. Taking care of Lily had given her a reason to live again, a purpose that filled the void left by the loss of her own calf. She found comfort in Lily's unwavering love and devotion, and she cherished every moment they spent together. Lily, who had been so scared and alone, now felt safe and loved. Bess had given her a home, a family, and a sense of belonging. She knew that Bess would always be there for her, no matter what. She was grateful for Bess's love, her protection, and her unwavering support. The other animals on the ranch also benefited from Bess and Lily's presence. They learned that love and compassion could transcend differences, that even a cow and a lamb could form a bond that was stronger than blood. The story of Bess and Lily spread throughout the community, inspiring others to open their hearts and homes to those in need. People came from far and wide to visit the Lazy Z Ranch, to witness the miracle of love that had taken place there. They left feeling inspired and hopeful, reminded that even in the face of tragedy, love can conquer all. The ranch was more than just a place, it was a symbol of hope. And so, the Lazy Z Ranch became known far and wide not just for its beautiful scenery and healthy animals, but for the extraordinary love story of Bess and Lily. Mr. Johnson, with a twinkle in his eye, would often tell visitors, "It just goes to show you, love can come in the most unexpected packages." He would point to Bess, grazing peacefully with Lily and her calf, the three of them a picture of contentment. The other animals on the ranch seemed to understand the significance of their bond, treating them with a special kind of respect. The cows would moo softly as they passed, the sheep would bleat a gentle greeting, and even the usually aloof horses would whinny a friendly hello. Sarah, with her gentle smile, would add, "It wasn't always easy. There were challenges along the way. But we learned that with patience, compassion, and a little bit of faith, anything is possible." The story of Bess and Lily became a symbol of hope for the entire community. It reminded people that even after the most devastating losses, love can still bloom. It showed them that family isn't always about blood, but about the bonds we create and the love we share. The Lazy Z Ranch became a sanctuary for those who were hurting, a place where they could find comfort and inspiration in the story of Bess and Lily. People would come to the ranch to spend time with the unlikely family, to witness their love firsthand, and to be reminded that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. And as the sun set each evening over the rolling hills of the Lazy Z Ranch, casting a golden glow over Bess, Lily, and her calf, it was clear that love had truly conquered all. A tragic birth had led to unexpected sorrow, but it had also paved the way for an extraordinary bond, a testament to the power of love, compassion, and the enduring spirit of hope. The end.